Hi, I'm Chase Hiley. I'm the CEO and one of the original founders at Greenstone Media. If you're watching this video, then you are interested in crafting a marketing message and using a story that your students will buy. As we go through this is the new simple proven framework for crafting a marketing message that your ideal audience will love and understand. And I got a couple things here I just want to make sure you're aware of. If you want to catch a full replay of this video, you can access that here. And if you are interested in this marketing framework and in this messaging framework and would like to get guidance and clarity on how you can implement this, we have a link right here where you can schedule a call with one of our team members. So if you watched the previous video, we went through all of our systems on how you can double enrollments for targeted higher ed programs at your institution. We're going to spend more time today just on the messaging component so you can craft a story that your students will buy. And so for the second core pillar of our system, you need a story that your students will buy. And we get it, almost every higher ed institution has one main goal with their marketing efforts, and that's to increase enrollment. Many times we see colleges and universities spend time and money, resources trying to attract more students to their programs. And unfortunately, what we see is a lot of the time and effort you spend investing in a fancy website, digital marketing, online ads, they don't generate the kind of ROI that you're looking for. And so what's the problem? Generally, when this is happening, it's your messaging. And it's just plain and simple. The words that you're using aren't inviting potential students into a story. You aren't speaking to them in a way that resonates and moves them into action. And don't worry, we can fix this problem. You can tap into the power of story to create a powerful marketing message that puts your institution on students' must-visit list. And in this part, you're going to learn the 7 elements of crafting a story that resonates with potential students and leads to bring you more enrollments. And I have to confess, this is not something that we invented this framework. We are simply bringing it to you. To be clear, Donald Miller, who's the CEO of StoryBrand, multiple New York Times Best Times author, and Dr. J.J. Peterson, they have put together this really neat framework. And it is from the book, Building a Story Brand, Clarify Your Message so Customers Will Listen. They created the 7-part framework, which has helped well over 10,000 organizations clarify their message. And this is something that, as a StoryBrand certified marketing agency, our company has been licensed and trained to use this framework to bring it to you, to help higher ed institutions create the right message to attract more of your ideal audience, which is listed below on that 7-part framework. And so just high level, and we're going to do a deep dive in all this so you can create a story that your students will buy. Is we're going to be identifying the first part is who your character is, what problems they're facing, making sure we're positioning your institution as the helpful guide. You have a process plan in order for them to enroll and what that looks like, making sure that you're calling them to action and describing to them what success looks like and what failure you're helping them avoid. And I'm just going to warn you, as we go into this, I might even ruin movies and a lot of stories that you're reading right now. I probably even drive my own wife crazy a lot of times when we're watching TV shows or movies. I have a spoiler for you. This guy's going to solve this mystery, or you know what? This guy dies in 10 minutes. And she's like, shut up, eat your popcorn. Let's enjoy the show. But going over the structure that tells the story. So storytellers, that's you. Don't simply begin telling a story and then seeing where it goes. They follow certain guidelines to develop that story that's engaging and one that's going to make your audience of prospective students want to enroll. And there are 7 parts to the storytelling framework. Again, we just hit that top level, but it's the same structure that's used in movies from Star Wars, Harry Potter, Hunger Games, Jason Bourne, et cetera, et cetera. And here's the formula that all of these movies follow. Generally, a character has a problem, then meets that guide who gives them a plan and calls them to action. That usually that action is either going to result in success or failure. And so if your college or university implements this writing structure correctly, the words on your website will cut through the noise and students will be lining up for a campus tour. And again, 7 parts: identifying the character. Second one has a problem. Third one meets a guide. Fourth one gives them a plan. Fifth one calls them to action. The sixth one helps them avoid failure. And then the final piece there ends in success for them. And so the first step I really want you to be thinking about is thinking about your character, potential, and your potential students and what they really want. And I see this with a lot of higher ed institutions. A lot of times you have different ideal audiences, with traditional versus non-traditional. And so I've seen this before, but when we're looking at the character, it's surprising how long it's been since most institutions sat down and asked, who's our audience, or who's our audience become? What is the problem they face as it relates to our offering as an institution? How does that problem make them feel? What plan can we give them so they avoid the failure that comes from this problem? What would success look like if they followed our plan? And if you're reading closely, you're likely beginning to notice how a simple story can apply to your programs and make your marketing efforts more effective. All you have to do is take the components of a good story and turn them into higher ed centered questions. It's that simple. The prospective student seeking higher or continuing education is living in a story, and your job is to help them define the problem they're facing and position your programs as the solution. Once they've begun to make this identification, you've progressed into the second part of the storytelling framework, which is has a problem. And stories don't begin until a problem has been introduced. If a movie doesn't introduce a problem within the first few scenes, it simply won't capture the audience's attention. Katniss from the Hunger Games has to survive. Luke Skywalker has to find out if he has what it takes to become a Jedi. Harry Potter has to get away from the Dursleys. And this is, of course, no different for colleges and universities. If you want your website and enrollment marketing to be effective, you have to identify the problem your audience is facing and clearly communicate it on your website. You're helping students broaden their horizons, further their skills, or pursue a dream career. This is the part of the story where things get real and action must be taken. This paradigm is referred to as a story loop. Essentially, this is where a problem gets created in someone's brain and suddenly they have to see it solved. That problem goes in and out of being solved for the rest of the movie until it finally reaches a resolution. Very simply, the problem is what keeps their audience in the seat. And you've probably seen this. I mean, how many times can you go and sit in the same room for almost 3 hours and stay focused on the screen? That's the power of storytelling. It engages, hooks you in, and you have to see what the result's going to be. And so examples of some problems, we see this with a lot of colleges struggle to market themselves online in a way that looks great and generates enrollment. They either waste their money trying to look good or they give it no effort and enrollment declines. Any company will tell you they want to hire and retain the right employees, but not every company has the tools to achieve that. Most working professionals don't have an easy way to pursue an MBA, CEUs, or switch careers. Lack of time, money, or resource keeps them from pursuing their dreams. You have to nail down the reality of the issue that prospective students are facing. Once you do, they want to know how you can help them solve it. And that leads us to the next piece of the storytelling framework: introducing your institution as the trusted guide. And meeting the guide is the scene in every mitch where the hero gets help. This is where Luke Skywalker meets Obi-Wan, Harry meets Hagrid, and Katniss meets Haymitch, or Woody from Cheers. In your marketing copy, you should position your college or university as the guide that enters into the story and teaches your potential students how to solve their problems. However, many colleges don't know how to be the guide. They're still trying to be the hero. Their website is all about them, their core beliefs, the awards they've won, how committed they are, And that all sounds great, but that's not the story your audience is interested in. They're interested in their story. So when a visitor lands on your website and every sentence starts with "we," they will disengage. And here's why. 5 minutes ago, they went to Google searching for a solution to a problem they were experiencing. Then when they landed on your website, they discovered words all about your institution, not about how you will solve their problem. They couldn't see whether you understood their issue or could solve it, so they left. If you want to successfully position your college or university as a trusted guide, you should ask yourself these questions. Does your website prove you understand a prospective student's problem? Does your website use the word "you" more than "we"? Does your website make you appear as both authoritative and empathetic? And as mentioned earlier, if your marketing collateral hasn't nailed down your audience's problem and how it makes them feel, they will not listen to you when you try to position yourself as their guide. Once you've successfully established your institution as the guide, it's time to give your visitors an action plan. So remember, your audience needs 3 things from you before you should expect them to begin the enrollment process. They need empathy. They need to know you understand them. They need authority. They need to see who you have helped successfully, and that because of that, it would be easy for you to help them too. And they need a plan. You can't do everything right up at this point, but if you don't offer a clear plan for them, they won't act. And unfortunately, the opposite has likely been happening to your institution. The communication wasn't clear during the enrollment process, and you didn't get the students to apply. You wondered if it was something you said, and chances are this is where you missed it. Your audience needs a simple 1, 2, 3 plan for enrolling. Remember, you know the process inside and out, but you have to put on your newcomer hat and remember, potential students won't understand everything about your college or university and how it works immediately. So for providing that simple first step on your website, you need a call to action that is going to call them to action. Using vague language such as learn more or read more is not going to inspire your website visitors to act. They're looking for a clear plan that shows them how they can pursue their career dreams or advance in their current career. On your website, use language like schedule a call today or book a tour now. This tells your website visitors exactly what to do and makes them call to action, both immediate and imperative. What is the first step that your audience needs to take? Now let's move them into that second phase. Oversimplify your process so when a visitor reads it, they know exactly what to expect. They booked a campus tour or completed a consultation call. What's next? An example of a step 2 in a 3-step plan is simply fill out the application. Most higher ed institutions know how to help their audience, but do potential students know that? Without words that clearly spell it out, you open up for the opportunity for confusion and uncertainty. By taking the guesswork out of the situation with a simple 1, 2, 3 plan, they will know exactly what they are getting into and are more likely to take action. Show them what success looks like in the last part of the 1, 2, 3 plan. And really, any piece of collateral that you write at your institution is to show your audience what success will look like if they choose to enroll with you. Success might be something like realizing their career dream, getting a promotion, advancing their skills, greater income, a sense of accomplishment. The list goes on. What makes your audience smile in relation to your institution? Your job is to get that smile into words and into pictures on every piece of marketing collateral you have, because that's what people want. They want to experience the success that has come from solving their problem. All right, so calling them to action. As mentioned above, without that clear call to action, your audience simply won't be compelled to engage. Up to this point, You have identified the prospective student's problem and how it makes them feel. You have empathized with them and positioned yourself as the guide who has been here before and knows the best path to take. The 1-2-3 plan you now have on your website shows a digestible process for enrolling with you. Once you follow these steps, it's time to call them to action. It needs to be clear, and it needs to be in unison with the first step of the 1-2-3 plan you have already outlined. Ultimately, the call to action is the place where your audience decides whether to stay stuck in the rut or be transformed by enrolling at your institution. The call to action is no place to be vague. Tell them exactly what to do so they can destroy the Death Star in their own life. Helping them avoid failure. What's a good story without the risk of failure? Failure is what happens if your audience's problem goes unsolved. Most prospective students feel as they're doing something heroic by enrolling at your institution. Obviously, there are consequences to not getting a good education. Sometimes all your audience needs to know is why it's a bad idea to not enroll with you. Unfortunately, most prospective students don't make the purchase or the change until they feel a healthy bit of pressure. And of course, this does not mean manipulating your audience. Using failure as a bit of seasoning in your story. Don't overdo it, but add enough so that students understand the consequences of not enrolling in your college. And manipulative stories often use failure to get the prospective students to do something, but that's not the idea in a story that students buy. Students buy a story where they are the hero, feeling confident enough to make a powerful decision that leads to their success. So just a helpful tip, keep a list of what happens to your audience if they don't enroll with you. Find tactful places in your marketing collateral to show prospective students how you can help them avoid these unfortunate outcomes. Remember, if you do it right, they'll feel spurred on to take action. So for ends in success, you want your student's story to end in success. And really, your job is to show them that success before they ever get it. In most movies, the hero gets a taste of that success at the beginning before it becomes the reality at the end of the movie. They have problems to overcome, and it's the initial taste of success that really helps them get through the process. Your website and marketing collateral should show students what success will look like for them, and they should be able to see themselves enjoying that success. This is the visual of someone enjoying your product or having a better life because of what you have to offer. All colleges and universities, all great colleges and universities do it well because all great stories do it well. Many institutions haven't mastered this concept, so their catalog of collateral is more like an infomercial or an arm twisting and less like their target audience's dream board. Achieve the latter, and you'll be telling the story that students buy. All right, for the takeaway on this, the story students buy is the story they identify with. And that only happens when you talk about the problem they are facing and demonstrate that you have a way to solve that problem and lead them to success. If you know you should have students enrolling at your college or in your continuing education programs and need help implementing effective copywriting on your website and marketing collateral, you can do this yourself by simply visiting mystorybrand.com, completing that brand script for your institution or specific program. So you'll see here, this is where you can access that. I also have it linked here. Ideally, you would have a brand script for each specific program, and then you would have one for your institution as a whole. The reason why is because, as you're aware, for different programs, you have different audiences, and you're going to need different messaging for them, and then you will need a clear overall message for your institution. I want to make sure that you complete that brand script. There's going to be a separate once you log in, there are additional tools where you'll complete a brand script a one-liner, and a tagline. And then once you do this, you will have all the words that you need where you can execute all of the messaging in all of your marketing collateral. So make sure that once you get the right words that are going to invite your users into a story, you execute them all into your marketing collateral. And I get it. I understand you may have a lot going on, and if you don't have the time to do the above or simply would like our team to review your brand script that you've just created and you want to be confident your messaging is correct, simply book a call with my team here. You can click this link and we'll review your brand script or any messaging and make sure that your messaging follows this framework, is positioned to attract your ideal audience. And then I've got a little bonus hack here for you. For those that once you've created the messaging and those that are more of an admissions, check out this really neat tool. It's called Online Sales Script, and you can click on this and you can essentially create pitches for admissions. So that way, I don't know if you've seen this before, but I have seen this with many institutions where you can go and ask someone in academics, like a director of a program, hey, what's our elevator pitch for this program? And the message they say is different from the message from students in their class, and then also from those in admissions, even those from in leadership. So essentially, I've shown you the framework for creating that clear, concise message. This is going to make sure that for those that are in admissions, they are having that same clear and concise message that's still inviting students into a story, and you're going to have a proven formula to use over and over again to help you close more enrollment leads so you can help more students destroy the Death Star in their lives. Well, I hope you find this helpful, and remember, if your messaging is unclear, it does not have to be that way anymore. Again, go to visitmystorybrand.com, create that brand script. We can review it with you, and if you don't have time for this, we can help you install this messaging system at your institution. Have a great rest of your day, and cheers to clarity.